encounter.
But no,
It feels very
Hello and welcome to the Unwanted Opinion podcast, the show in which me and my friends give our unwanted opinion on all things film. My name is Lewis and I'm joined today with Kyle.
hello.
And he's back, Gonzalo.
Hey.
Hey. How you guys doing this morning? We're recording early. It's a rare
Yeah.
thing. Okay,
sorry,
I guess we'll just go with that. We'll go with
We're
as,
tired, yes.
how he's feeling. But yes, we'll just jump right in, I guess, because that's the amount of conversation we're getting today.
I mean, yes.
On this week's show, we're going to
Great
be talking about our most anticipated films of 2023. I mean, we just did our best and worst films of 2022, so it's time to look forward to 2023 as a whole and the most, things we're most looking forward to throughout the year. So, and plus we also have a review for Enys Men, the new Mark Jenkins film, and the big Hot Awards film, Tár. So those will be the two films that are at the end of the show to review. So, are you guys ready to go?
The big Hot Awards film.
Yes.
It's like, oh, it's big, it's hot, and it's full of awards. It's
Yeah,
Tar.
well, it's in contention, Kel. It's in contention. Big Oscar film.
I mean, you can. Tar is pretty burnable, so it's definitely hot.
Fuck off. He's
Oh
like,
my
the fella's like, I
God.
don't know about this film.
If you guys don't,
I
yeah,
know
if you guys
nothing about this film.
before-
Absolutely nothing about this film.
before the show started, Gonzalo's not in a good mood this morning, man. He's just like, fuck
I am
this.
not a morning person. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really bad.
It's not even morning
I-
where you are. I'm pretty
I
sure. I'm
know,
pretty sure it's
I
midday.
know. It's midday still. I went to sleep pretty late last night, so I'm a bit off. Okay.
He's also still holding a bottle of vodka from last night. I mean, you can
It's
see it on
not
camera.
vodka. It's fucking water.
It's definitely some sort of. It looks like expensive vodka, to be fair. He's just drinking it straight.
That's
Guy's hardcore. I don't know
that's
what's about.
right. He said this earlier. He's a madman. He's thinking on the job. I had one beer recorded and I got told off, and he's downing vodka. We're like, we shouldn't be concerned.
It's
He can handle his
water.
drink,
That's true. I can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
okay.
we said, we're going to be looking at the films we're most looking forward to throughout 2020. What year are we? 2023. I was gonna say
2023.
2023.
It comes after 2022.
Yes.
You add one.
But Gonzalo, because you're in you know what? I'm going to come to you first
rotten
because of the mood you're in. I'm just going to put you on the spot. So going up to you, Gonzalo. What's
fuck
one of the films you're most anticipated?
Okay, so you guys know I'm an animation guy, and
Really?
I fucking love the fuck off.
That's shocking. That's news to me.
So I really loved the first one when it came out. It was one of my best movies that year,
Mhm.
and that was Spideyverse. And sequels apparently coming out this year.
Yes.
Been waiting for it for a while. Loved the teaser trailer when it came out. We got a bit of a more teaser trailer, I would say, because we don't really get the plot. We just get like a little bit of something. I don't even really want to know the plot, honestly.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be good. But yeah, it looks fucking amazing. I'm really excited. Is that 5 minutes, Kyle?
I mean, it's below
He was like,
35
"Gonzalo, you're
minutes.
not allowed to talk."
I'm going to give you a wee bit more time on the floor.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
okay.
can,
for
you
you.
can
So
explain
yeah,
more.
it's called Into the Spideyverse. So
No, it's not.
like
Is it not across the
oh
Spider-Verse?
shit, no, it's called Across the Spider-Verse.
Jesus.
Sorry, yeah. So like
you don't watch films. You don't even look at
I'm
the titles
sleepy.
of films.
I'm sleepy. I got confused.
I'm impressed you
But yeah,
knew it was
like,
Spider-Man.
It's by the title, it seems like we're gonna see even more like Spideyverse shenanigans, even more like a bunch more parallel universes, a bunch more Spider-Mans, and from the trailer, like there's this shot with like
Yeah.
billions of Spider-Mans.
I
So,
love your description. It's like across the Spider-Verse. It seems that we're going to see more people. It's like
yeah, we're
the
gonna
Little
see more
Mermaid.
people.
I feel there's going to be a Little Mermaid.
A
in this
Little
film.
Mermaid. Yeah. I
Well-
think so, honestly. I don't know how little she's gonna be. There's definitely gonna be a mermaid.
I mean, look-
no, but yeah.
Me and Kyle,
Seems fun.
I'm speaking for you, Kyle, but I think you and I both loved that first film as well, didn't we?
Yeah, yes, yeah, but I mean, we didn't have the best experience first time because we saw it in
No.
3D and it
The
broke
3D
or
was,
something.
Oh, I'm
was,
so
was
sorry.
broken, yeah, and we had to get it all fixed, and then they didn't restart the movie for some reason. Anyway, but then we saw it again, and
Okay,
I saw that film
yeah.
I think 3 times in the cinema actually.
I think so too. It was
Yeah,
really good.
it was a massive surprise. I remember when the trailer came out for it and stuff like that, and everyone was just like, "Yes, an animated Spider-Man movie. Why are they making this? Like, whatever,
Oh,
and then
we're
it came
so
out and
hyped.
it blew everyone out of the water, blew every other superhero film that year out of the water, and it was just
Yeah.
it's still considered one of the best superhero films ever made.
It very
Since
much
came
is.
out. And
The animated superhero track record
Mhm.
has some good ones, like between
yeah.
this and The Incredibles. Like,
yeah.
some of the best superhero ones are just animated.
But from the trailer,
Hmm.
what I'm getting is it just Miles going up against a bunch of evil Spider-Men? Is that
Well,
sort
no,
of...
I think from the trailer is that it's Miguel, so Spider-Man 2099.
99,
Yeah.
From what I saw, it's like he's meant to be the kind of not the main antagonist, because the main
Yes.
antagonist is Spotted Man or the Spot.
Yeah, the Spot,
But I think it's just going to be like they're set in their ways of doing it,
Right.
and then Miles
Mm.
comes along and tries to like
change
things, and then it's going to be by the end, it's going to be like, we are Spider-Man, and it's it's
Yeah.
like we are the Flash scene.
Well, to be fair, that's
Yeah.
what they kind of did in the first Spider-Verse thing. Like everyone
Yeah.
was Spider-Man.
But- yeah,
but do
so
you
I think it's
think-
going to be like that.
Gothal could live up to that first film.
Honestly, it all depends on the script. The animation looks amazing. I know the performances is going to be good because these people nailed it in the first one. I don't see why that would change. It's all in the writing of what they choose to focus the main theme on and how they carry that to the next movie. Because honestly, the first movie did show something to me that makes me hopeful, which is the fact that they really didn't care about making a standard superhero movie. They
Yes.
just cared about telling one specific story.
Mhm.
And as long as they don't get lost in the superhero-ness of it all and just, like adding characters or
Mhm.
action scenes for the sake of it kind of thing, if they just focus more on that, like, overarching theme that they're trying to go for,
Yeah.
whatever it is in this one, it seems to be like a thing of like maybe seeing things from a different point
Yeah.
of view or something like that. Yeah,
I think he may
like
struggle
changing the
with
status quo. Yeah,
the character things, because I do think this is a big chuck characters in sort of film. I mean, you saw from that
Yeah.
poster that they're bringing fan favorites like the Spectacular Spider-Man
Mhm.
back.
Oh yeah.
But what I was actually interested to ask you, Gunfallow, because
Hmm.
when they first talked about this film, and I remember when they did the kind of title announcement, I think it was last year, the year before, I can't remember now. They talked about the fact that this film was going to have something like 8 different styles of animation, because the idea is that they're
yeah.
jumping within the Spideyverse and they're going to go to that. And I was genuinely kind of wondering, because what I really loved with the first film is that they focused on that animation and it made it the best.
Yeah.
What do you think of the idea that I don't have a clue how animation studios work? Is that you're adding in more
Yeah.
different animation styles? Do you think that means we're going to get quantity over quality?
See, that's the thing. I like the thing about the first movie that really helped it along is the fact that it didn't really have the deadline that this one has.
Yeah.
And we've seen with Marvel that this happens a lot with their VFX department. As soon as there's a rigid deadline of like this is coming out of this day, you do have like sometimes.
I mean, this is more
things are rushed
Sony
or
than
something.
Marvel.
Yeah,
Like,
and
this
also-
isn't
I
like
know,
a
but
Disney
like in
Marvel.
that sense,
Yeah.
no, but I'm saying like in that sense, the first movie was really had like a lot of production time to it. Like I think it was like rewritten halfway through as well. Like they really gave it a lot of time
Yeah.
in the oven before it actually they even put a date on it.
Okay.
And I am a bit like hesitant, like you're saying, just because this one has such a set release
Well,
date
to
and
be
has
fair,
been like
it's been 5 years they've spent working.
it
on
has
this,
been
and
it has
plus,
been 5
this
years.
is also one that got delayed multiple times.
yeah,
so
yeah.
How long
there's
did they
that
spend
again-
on the first film?
No
good
idea.
sign.
No idea.
No. Okay.
Oh, it's hard to say because they kind of were working on the idea for a long time before it even started to be a production kind of thing. Because like Sony had the IP and they wanted to do something with it, so they put people working on it, and they took them off, then they put them back on. So like, it's hard to really like say when did it really start. But yeah, so like that would be the only thing I'd be scared of maybe, hey, it's a sequel, we need to make it, we need to push it out, but it doesn't seem like they've rushed it. Like it really doesn't seem like they were like, oh, we need to live on the hype of this movie. Like you say, it's been 5 years, so they didn't really just like put something out for the sake of putting it out. We've seen a lot of interesting development with like Sony animations in general. They have come up with like a lot of good stuff, and experimenting with animation as well and stuff. So honestly, I'm not worried about the quality of the animation at all.
No, it looks good.
The only thing that worries me is the quality of the storytelling, and
Right.
it doesn't really worry me that much.
At the
Like
moment.
And
it's
also,
the only place where I
This
could
is
be like,
also we got to keep in mind.
Yeah.
This is kind of like a part one situation because this is
yeah. It's
Well, I think it was
It
originally
was meant to
called
be
part one, and
part
then
one
part two
and
is coming in
part two, yeah.
2024. But
Yeah,
I think it's across the Spider-Verse, and I don't know what the
Beyond.
next one. Beyond, there we go. That's the next film.
Yeah.
So potential cliffhanger in this, which is don't know how I feel about that. But
If the
yeah.
cliffhanger is any of the live action ones in the film, I'll be fuming because I'm like, I just don't want that to happen. But I know they will.
Yeah, no.
Right, Kyle, let's
Yeah.
move on to you. What's your first pick? Your first
Well,
anticipated
I'm
film?
going to chuck a couple of honourable mentions
Fair
just
dues.
before I
Oh,
get
nice.
into it. Now, what the first honourable mention is kind of cheap since we're seeing it next week, but I'm really, really hyped for The Whale.
The
Like, it's just because of obviously everybody, like, America's seen it. I hate them, and I'm just getting just more and more hyped to see this performance, and just to see Brendan Fraser's performance. So that's one. We're seeing that. Is it next
Yeah.
Friday? No, Thursday.
Thursday.
I can't remember. Someone's just screening. That's a film, by the way, Gunfal, just in case you're confused. And it's not actually about
I
a
know
whale.
about that.
My
Oh, shut
second
up. I know
my
about
second honourable mention, right, is that
Yeah.
this is a wee bit more of a meme film. Just
Okay.
because of like the internet presence on it, I
Alright.
now really want to see that Puss in Boots film. I
Puss
don't
in
know
Boots.
why.
Yeah.
Don't. By the way, that's
Animation
getting mad
looks good,
critical
though.
acclaim. Meant to be very
You know?
yeah.
The Logan of the Shrek franchise is just it's
IGN, of course, being IGN, put out a pretty silly review, but
I'm honestly I'm now actually quite interested to see this
I'm
film.
interested, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm
but
into it as well.
my
I like
first-
the animation style as well. Like it seems like DreamWorks are trying to replicate the kind of like experimental animation
It-
from
Yeah,
Sony and stuff.
it definitely doesn't look like a previous Shrekiverse film or
No.
whatever we're calling them.
Shrekiverse.
Well,
Right.
it's
Oh,
it's a
God.
sequel to the Puss in Boots, because I do believe we had a Puss in Boots movie.
Yeah, in Twilight.
already.
I don't think
We
it's
did,
really
yeah.
like. I think that came out 12 years ago.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
they're just kind of.
it's-
Oh, I know. I'm
it's
just
not really
I'm just
yeah.
trying to remind the universe. That
I
that
just love
existed.
the fact that this film has come out of nowhere and apparently it's like it's one of the greatest animation.
It's made a lot of money as well so far. Anyway, what else you
So
got?
my first actual proper
Oh, right, here we go.
pick is I'm gonna go with June Part 2.
Respect.
Right, and I know
fair.
Goodfellow talked about that as well. But he's a wee bit heartbroken in the fact it's part 2. So I mean, the first Dune film came out in what 2021
21.
was it? I forget.
I
I
lost track of time, man.
it was. I remember because it was one of those major delays that it got delayed
Oh,
every other
yeah.
day, and I was getting really upset by the end of it. But yeah, so now. How do I pronounce the guy's name? Because I butcher it every single time. The director.
Timothy Chalamet.
No, the director. I could say Timothy
then-
Chalamet. Fuck's sake.
Denis Villeneuve.
Timothy Chalamet, I didn't even know. Slightly.
So it's not Villeneuve, it's Villeneuve.
Yeah,
Okay.
Villeneuve.
Right.
That's cool.
So Denis Villeneuve,
okay.
who has done probably a few of my now all-time favorite films in the last
Oh, yeah.
X amount of years, with
Oh yeah.
Dune Part 1, Blade Runner 2049,
Arrival.
Arrival, which I rewatched actually after I think you were talking about it a few shows ago.
Yeah.
So now, so obviously when Dune came out, it was not advertised or titled as Part 1.
Yes, they snuck
Now-
that in.
The thing is, in the trailer,
Yes.
in the film, there's like flash forwards or like kind of
Yes.
visions of the future, which they always included in the trailer, which made you kind of like, okay, so it's going to cover more of the story than, okay, right, let's, and I mean, David Lynch's 80s or 80s film, covered like more or less the whole book in that
Yes.
2
Under
bit
2 hour
hour,
film, yes.
which wasn't received extremely well.
Cult classic to some, but others it's a disaster.
Cult classic, and so I was a bit kind of like, right, okay, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And then
Yeah.
as soon as it came out, everybody was like, yeah, it's June Part 1.
Yeah.
But it was so funny that it's like, you know how you get that bit where like the cinema certificate comes up?
Yeah.
It didn't even say it there.
Yeah, it doesn't. It just says in the.
It was
they
literally
really, till
in the
the till they
title.
knew you were sitting in
Yeah,
your seat, ready to watch
That
this thing. They were
annoyed
telling you
the
as
hell
well.
out of
But
me,
to be
and
fair,
I'm like
I mean, look,
100% sure that was a marketing thing.
that definitely
Yeah.
duped like 95% of people. But
It duped me.
Denis was very honest about it from the start. He's like, "Oh yeah, like this is like part one," and I was like, "I don't know if
Yeah,
I
but
get
I
to
didn't
shoot part
watch
two."
interviews.
But he was like,
Yes, I didn't want to
uh-huh.
get to know too much before the movie.
He was
you
like,
know? So
I don't
just
get to
went
shoot
in
part two
more or less blind.
until like how well this
Yeah.
until I know how well this does. So,
But
yeah.
I mean, the thing is
At
that
least it did well, though.
Yeah, it did.
it did well. I was quite worried about it because me and my dad went to see it. My dad's like a huge Dune fan, and I was in love with it. Everything from the visuals to the score.
Yeah.
I thought
Oh,
I thought all the performances were like really really good. I mean, Oscar Isaac I love, and I thought he did a really good job
Yeah.
as Paul Atreides' father, and
Yeah,
really
they
after
made
it,
him nicer.
yeah,
like that.
Yeah,
see
it's
when I
true.
when I came out of the film, right? Me and my dad were like, "That's incredible," because it was like really good space politics
Yeah.
and space religion, which is really cool, and that's the premise of the Dune story. And I went,
Oh heck yeah!
but the first thing I came out was, I was like, I don't think a lot of people will like that because I think people are going to go in expecting Star Wars, right?
No, it's
and then that was
hardcore.
that was my worry
proper.
because
Just like the book, yeah.
yeah, we talked about
Yeah.
the fact that it hadn't been confirmed for a part two, and I was like, no, I need a good completion of this story. I can't have another David Lynch scenario where we're just left with that for 20, 40 years, and then we have to wait for the next reboot. But then when they said part two was announced, and I mean they've added some fantastic additions to the cast. Florence Pugh playing the princess. Christopher Walken as the emperor,
And
I'm like,
Austin Butler's added to the cast as well.
see, for a while, I don't know why I got his face mixed up with Skarsgård. What's his name? You know,
Skarsgård.
Yeah, I got them really confused because I thought he was in it, and then it was like somebody went, "No, it's Elvis," and I went, "Oh, oh
I
god."
can't remember who's something Harkonnen related to Dave Bautista's character. I can't remember. You know who Sting played that character in the first.
Yeah.
What was his name? Austin Butler.
I think I got confused because Skarsgård Senior's in it. That I thought Skarsgård Junior was going to be in it. But I'm like, great, Austin Butler is Elvis. It's going to be in June. But no, so that's coming out. Fuck, when is that coming out?
November.
I know it's definitely coming out in November this year. Sorry, but I'm really excited. I don't know if I want a third because, like, I know he said that he would cover June in 2 parts, and then he did say that he may want to cover Messiah in a third film. But then my issue is that the trilogy, it's 3 books that focus on Paul.
So it
you
should
can't
be 4 books,
don't split one
Children
film. Don't split
That's the
one
thing.
book into 2 and then squeeze 2 books into one film afterwards. That's what I don't want to
I
happen.
hope like Children of Dune and Messiah get like their own films. separate.
See, I don't think it will. That's my kind of concern.
That's the thing. Look, June Part 1 did really well considering the circumstances. Like we forget, like obviously pandemic stuff was still going on. Cinemas were still kind of like iffy on big releases, and that film released for free on HBO Max on the same day it came out in the States, but it still made it.
And it still did.
It still did
lots
very
of
well.
money in cinemas,
like $400 million plus across the
it's
world.
also definitely a cinema film.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
we've talked about
Harry
cinematic
Styles.
films.
But you're right,
No, but like
right. You know, it's a big but
I'm saying it's like it's a film that really gets you into that cinematic experience. It's not just something you can watch it on TV, but when you watch it on cinemas, like it's the same as for me. It was just as impactful as things like Top Gun. Like it's one of those films that when you watch it in cinema, it really takes you away.
Absolutely,
you know.
I have no doubt June Part 2 is actually going to. I'm going to make a ballpark guess. I think it's going to make like $700 million worldwide. I think because of word of mouth and stuff like that. But also, like you're saying with the sequels, Kyle, I don't want Denis to. I want him to move on after this because I don't like really talented directors. Cough James Cameron being stuck on one thing for the rest of their career. Like I want them to make.
Oh, I know what you mean.
stuff. There's difference
like,
being stuck. There's being stuck, being pressured to stuck.
Yes.
Like when you feel like you're forced to make these films. And then there's weird sort of I'm obsessed with blue creatures stuff where you only want to do that. You know.
Well, hey, but the
Um,
studio would
I know
love
what
that
you
he's
mean.
done that, so that is
well,
what it
I
is.
know, make money. But anyway,
Yeah.
Lewis, go
My
ahead.
first pick, right? So on my roulette here, I've got a lot of
Hmm.
choices too. I'm gonna do some honorable mentions. David Fincher's new film, The Killer, comes out in November. Look, the reason I'm really excited for this, look, I love David Fincher's films. I mean, Seven, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Fight Club, all fantastic stuff. Oh, Zodiac is his most underrated film. Love Zodiac.
Oh,
Whenever he
I like
does,
Zodiac.
mysteries and with a serial killer or something like that involved, his stuff is absolutely fantastic. So The Killer, and also it stars Michael Fassbender, who I am dying for him to make a comeback, because there was a point in Michael Fassbender in like the early 2010s where he was just a powerful performer. He was doing like 12 Years a Slave, he was doing Shame, he was doing, all these sorts of like daring films, and was a really, really brilliant actor. Hunger as well, I forgot about that. And then, I don't know what happened during the mid-2010s, his agent just hated him or something, just put him like Assassin's Creed, The Snowman, The Counselor, just
Yeah,
trash, just
yeah.
garbage after, just crap. And I was like,
Yeah.
how are you wasting this talent? Oh, X-Men Apocalypse, X-Men Dark Phoenix. I was like, oh my god, Michael, please, do something.
See, like
Uh-huh.
I get the X-Men ones,
Yeah,
'cause,
he's
like, he was
contracted.
already playing
Yeah.
like I get
Mhm.
those ones,
Yeah.
but like, oh my god, Snowman was so bad.
Like, it's just a shame, and I was like, it's just one of those things, like, I don't want this talent to be wasted. I love Michael Fassbender, so he's in The Killer with Tilda Swinton, I think, as well, so two fantastic actors. David Fincher, a serial killer. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I think it's a Netflix film, though, sadly. So that's my first one. Megalopolis, the only reason I'm putting this as an honorable mention is because we actually know absolutely nothing about this. It's just Francis Ford Coppola's new film. I can't remember the last time he directed something. I think it was the 2000s. He just kind of stepped away and hasn't really done much since. I mean, I've got to give this guy benefit of the doubt. He's the guy who created the goddamn Godfather. He did one of the best films of the 70s, The Conversation, with Gene Hackman. Just a phenomenal, phenomenal director. I mean, it's undisputed that he's, created some of the best films ever made.
It feels like if he came back, it has to be for a reason.
Yes, and
so let's
Megalopolis
hope
he's
it
been
is.
trying to make since I think the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, he's been just
Oh, there's like
yeah.
old concept art of this
so
movie.
much. And like,
yeah, no,
this thing
100%.
could be an absolute disaster. But I'm still cannot wait to see it. Like,
But
it's always
that's
waiting when
the
a guy
thing,
hasn't
Lewis,
directed
like-
something in years and he comes back.
Yeah, but like that's the thing, Lewis. Like we complain a lot about like how the worst thing in film is those soulless cash grabs.
Yes.
Even
yes.
if this is the worst film ever, it's a film that's made with intention and
With,
passion.
like,
So it's
like
going to be more
30, 40
interesting than that.
years. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't really know who the
like,
cast is.
yeah.
I know Aubrey Plaza's part of it, Adam Driver as well.
Driver.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So, but literally, there's not even been any images or like it's just in production right now. Who knows if it's even going to come out this year? I think it is. I think it's going to aim for the end of the year. So that's
Yeah.
another one. Beau Was Afraid, Ari Aster's new horror, adventure, comedy, bizarre, 3-hour epic that's coming out in April with
It's 3
Joaquin
hours?
Phoenix. Yeah, it's about 3 hours long. I know from the trailer it just looks like madness. But look, it's Ari Aster. I'm very interested. Midsommar and Hereditary, great films. Cannot wait to see what he does next. I think this is leaning less on the horror aspects, though. I think this is kind of being a more genre mix, so that's quite exciting. And
Hope so,
last,
because that means I could probably see it without being scared.
yes. So there's a few honorable mentions. I don't know if Kyle's going to talk about Oppenheimer. Are you, Kyle?
No, I wasn't
No, you're not.
intending.
Oppenheimer, of course, Christopher Nolan's latest film about the creator of the atomic bomb. I mean, this Christopher Nolan it's always going to be interesting, although I had problems with films like Tenet. Still an interesting concept, still a film I watched like 3 times. I just own it. It's just a film that I don't
it's
know if I
still
dislike or
well-made.
like. It's a very,
Yeah.
very strange film. It's one that I'm constantly flipping my decision on. I was like, what is Tenet? Is it good? So look, I'll always give Christopher Nolan the benefit of the doubt as well. I made my favourite film ever made, Dark Knight. So I'm obviously very interested to see what he does here. It's a kind of biopic, but experimental and sort of doing mad stuff with explosions. And it's Christopher Nolan, of course. It's not going to be a very simple biopic. So those are my kind of honorable mentions. But I'm firstly going to begin with Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin Scorsese's new film. This was actually meant to come out May last year, but then they decided to delay it because I think they wanted awards contention, and also they want to premiere at Cannes, and I think it was too late to premiere at Cannes last year, so they delayed it a whole year for awards contention, like literally a year from now for 2024 Oscars, and then the Cannes premiere they want to do this. I mean, it's this whole epic that's stars Leo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro together, his two best buddies in the world who've been basically like all of his films. I'm really looking forward to it. It's about, I don't know if you guys have read the book. It's by the same author, I think, who did.
I only know one thing about this movie, and it's the meme where it's Leo next to the woman, and them being like, "Wow, look at Leo's range. He looks so good in makeup."
Yeah,
that's the only thing I know about this movie.
So basically, it's like so there's this Native American tribe in the United States called the Osage tribe, and some of them are murdered under mysterious circumstances, and it basically sparks an FBI investigation involving J. Edgar Hoover. I can't remember who's playing J. Edgar Hoover. I think it's... honestly, I can't remember who in the cast is playing it, but I remember they have like some sort of big name in it. But yeah, Robert De Niro, Leo DiCaprio, Martin Scorsese. I don't think... Martin Scorsese hasn't made anything since Irishman, which came out like 4 years ago. The annoying thing is, I mean, it'll get a cinematic run, but it's an Apple TV film. Because there was a whole big problems with like Martin Scorsese wants this massive like $200 million budget. No studio was really going to give him it because it's a period piece investigation film. It's a big drama, and obviously studios aren't really going for that stuff right now, which is very, very depressing that Martin Scorsese can't even get the funding for a passion project.
I know.
But of course, he went to Netflix the first time for a massive $200 million budget, so he's going to go to Apple this time for another $200 million budget.
Just redistribute the wealth.
Yes, but I think Apple will. Last I heard reports about it, Apple really, really want to push this cinematically. And they have the apps, of course, they've got endless resources to do that. So I hope that gets a bit... I hope they don't do what they did to Glass Onion and put it out for like just like 6 or 7 days.
For like a little bit, yeah.
On like select theaters, like...
I hope they do the Dune thing and just release it in theaters at the same time as they do in streaming. I think, being like, hey, you can watch this theater movie in our streaming service.
No, I think they will. I think they'll give it a cinematic release before it comes out on Apple TV first, and then But yeah,
build the hype up before.
But once again, much like Megalopolis, I can't really talk much about this because all I know is the plot synopsis. I mean, you could read the book, I guess, if you guys want to read the book before the film comes out. But there's like not really any images. There's not even a trailer out yet. It's been delayed for a while. It was in my most anticipated list last year, and it just moved forward to this year. Yeah, what is it?
So I've literally just I was like, I had no idea about this. And I was like, Killers of the Flower Moon, The Osage Murders, and The Birth of the FBI. It's like, that's no wonder they shortened the title, because I was like, that's a bit of a mouthful.
Title,
yeah.
I said from the guy that did it's from the guy that did The Lost City of Z.
Yeah, the
was that not a film?
Lost City of Z was...
That was a film.
Yeah, it was a film,
I did not see it.
With Robert Pattinson and Charlie Hunnam. It's meant to be very good.
He had to lose a lot of weight for that one, apparently.
So yeah, it's like I said, there's not really much to go on about this. It's just Martin Scorsese's new film, of course. I'm going to be really hyped about it. I love Mr. Scorsese. I love so much of what he's made. I'm obviously really stoked for it. I mean,
still got to watch The Irishman.
Still got to watch The Irishman. Genuinely, he's just, for me, he's still one of the best directors living and working today. So that's why that's on my list. So back to you, Gonzalo.
Okay, so I don't have much to say about this next one because we don't know a lot about it, and I like that. I think that's a good sign. The Barbie movie. So when I first heard there was going to be a Barbie movie, I thought, this is going to be shit. Right. But then I heard who they put in charge of the Barbie movie.
Greta Gerwig.
Greta freaking Gerwig. So I was like, wow, this is gonna be excellent. Then we started getting casting choices, and we realized that there was gonna be like 1,000 Barbies and 1,000 Kens, and all the castings were incredible. And I was like, wow, this is gonna be a great movie. And then the trailer came out, and it does a freaking homage to Space Odyssey.
Pretty much shot for
talking
shot.
About shot for shots, but while talking about the idea of like Barbie itself, which is like true history, the fact that like until Barbie, like dolls were just meant to be the babies that women took care of, and then Barbie came along and became like the toy that is like the aspiration of what little girls wanted to be, rather than like here's a baby. So like that is the thing that happened, and that is what made Barbie so popular. Interestingly enough, the actual first doll was stolen design from a German sex toy manufacturer. Who just made sexy dolls, basically. Yeah. And this American woman saw it and thought, oh, wow, this looks really awesome, and basically stole the design and created her own, started Mattel, basically. And yeah, with obviously the help of her husband, because women in the 50s weren't really allowed to do anything with other husbands. But yeah, really interesting. It's a really weird-ass trailer. It has a couple of shots of the actual movie in it.
Very,
it has
very
that
seldom.
intro.
Yeah.
That's narrated by Dame Judi Dench, is it?
Is it Judi Dench?
Maybe it's someone else. Wait, let me check. It's definitely a
is
good
it not
actress.
Frances McDormand?
I thought it sounded like
okay,
her.
Might be her. I don't know. It was one of those where I'm like, wait, is that who I think it is? Kind of things. But anyway, they got a big name to do the narration at the start. And I'm not even sure if that like all of that we saw in the trailer at the start is even going to be part of the movie.
Yeah,
or not.
I don't think so. Yeah, just the flashes of the film will probably.
I really have no clue. But whatever they do, honestly, it's gonna be wild and it's gonna be interesting. And even if it's absolutely terrible, it seems to have a reason to exist other than selling dolls.
Look,
so I'm all in.
Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren. Okay.
Look,
sorry.
I've said this for a while to you, Kyle. When they announced the Barbie movie, and like you say, Garth Hallman's just using a brand name to sort of sell a film.
Yeah.
But then you put that name attached to, like you're saying, and it's like, right, if you're putting Greta Gerwig on this, and I compare Barbie to the Super Mario Brothers movie in two very different ways.
Yeah.
I think 99% of people are looking at the Barbie film and thinking it's going to be a very audience-friendly, casual, they're just using the Barbie name, it's going to just be like a little comedy, and you can watch it, and it'll be like, just mind-numbing trash, sort of like the Mario Brothers movie is basically just using Mario, the iconography, to just make a shitty
to tell a really standard
Hollywood
story.
illumination film which will have a terrible plot and won't have much to it at all. And they're using that iconography so that everyone can go watch it and be like, oh yeah, that was good, but literally you won't think about it 2 minutes later. And I think a lot of people are looking at Barbie and like, yeah, it's just going to be a mindless, summer release. No. You attach that talent, you attach Greta Gerwig to this.
Opposite.
This is going to be a very, very different film, and I think a lot of people
100%.
are going to be disappointed because I think a lot of people are expecting this
100%.
to be just, an easy watch. It's not going to be that at all. Greta's a very, very, very great talent. Little Women and Lady Bird are both brilliant films. She's going to do something special with this. I can feel it. And also the boldness, the absolute boldness to release this on the 21st of July on the same day as Oppenheimer and a week before Mission Impossible. Wow, that's just bold. I love it. Absolutely.
Honestly, I am very, very hyped for this movie. I think I am surprised at the balls of Mattel to get Greta Gerwig on this.
Oh yeah.
Because I also like she seems to me like one of those directors who would have not said yes to this unless they allowed her to do what she wanted with the story.
Absolutely.
I do not think it's like a Marvel case where they get a really well-known talent and then like just, jam a bunch of studio stuff in there. Like, I don't think she would have done this unless they allowed her to do what she wanted with it.
Yeah.
So I am so excited because whatever happens with this movie, I know it's not a cash grab. I know it's not just a commercial.
Yes.
I know this movie's going to have substance to it, and there's a reason for this movie to exist.
Yes.
Because there's thousands of Barbie movies. There's thousands of them. And there's a lot of them that are basically just, hey, this is a toy commercial for kids.
For your Barbie doll.
Yeah. 100%. But we've also, like, that's the thing. We've also seen Mattel do weird shit before because, like, a couple years back, there was, like, a mini-series that they put on, like, Disney Channel thing where, like, you had, like, maybe it's like a 5-minute episode in between like all their shows or whatever, called Barbie Life in the Dream House. And in this one, like you think, oh, it's just going to be like a really standard kind of Barbie thing. but it goes fucking wild
Yeah.
in like a really weird fourth wall breaking way, where it also references a Space Odyssey several times. Edgar Allan Poe,
You've told me about
like
this before, actually. Yeah.
it's such a weird show. Like, it does have like a lot of kids stuff in it, obviously, because it is meant for kids, but there's so much weird stuff, and it goes very meta in a way where like it enhances the whole idea of Barbie like being an every woman who has like 1,000 degrees and can do like she can be a doctor and a thing. Like, it really plays with that idea of like the whole world being plastic as well and stuff. So like, we've seen Mattel like dip their toes into some risky stuff before, even though again, like, obviously it's not to the level that I think this movie is going to go hard, but I am very hopeful that they're just like, okay, let's go full postmodern and do some weird shit, and like,
the biggest,
it's going to be interesting.
The biggest indicator that this isn't a mindless brand cash grab that will get like, I don't know, that'll be like middling reviews and like people will just like eat it up and be like, hey, actually it's better than, you know, what the critics are saying. I loved it. I know I've got this mad narrative in my head, but that teaser trailer is your biggest hint. It's a goddamn shot for shot recreation of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and this is not going to be a mindless blockbuster. Greg always got something up her sleeve, and I'm really looking forward to it. But yes,
she's one of the most interesting directors working today, and I cannot wait to see what she does. Because honestly, I was surprised about Little Women. I've watched the previous adaptation of it. I didn't think much of it. It was okay, you know. But like, she did some interesting stuff with it, and for me, if she can do that with like a direct adaptation, she can certainly do that with a brand like Mattel with as much history and weird shit in it. Like, I am so interested, and I predict that I will watch this movie and think, how the hell did they allow her to say that or write that or do that? I hope that's going to be my reaction during this film. You know, at the very least, I want to have a scene where I'm like, how the fuck was this allowed? You know?
Right. Kyle, what is your next pick?
I just want to quote Gonzalo saying, this is going to be a quick one, I don't have much to say about this film.
What's I don't want to say about it. I'm really looking forward to Barbie as well.
I just remember when he said that, I was like, nope, don't believe you. Don't believe you.
Wait, hold on, sorry. One last, like, what are you're going to see Barbie first before Oppenheimer when it's released the same day, aren't you?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Right, Kyle.
Barbie first, Oppenheimer, maybe.
I'd probably be the same, to be honest.
I'm more intrigued by Barbie in a weird way.
Yeah, it's the mystery of Barbie.
It's the mystery of Barbie. Right, Kyle.
But anyway,
like, I'm sure a biopic about Oppenheimer is
moving
on.
Sorry.
I'm gonna buy you a Barbie at the train and just be distract you. Right. Sorry. Don't know how much that shipping cost to Spain would be, but it's, you know. Anyway, my next film I'm going to choose is Pixar's new film that's coming out this year, Elemental. Right.
Yes.
So for me, right, this is a big thing because I love Pixar, and I think
we did a whole episode.
We've done a whole episode now. I was just interested because I was like, we had 2 Pixar films come out last year, right?
Did we?
We had Turning Red
and Lightyear, yeah.
And that other one, yeah. So
then there's the other one, which I believe it's the second Pixar film that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, and you know, I don't think you need to.
I don't think.
To be honest, I think a lot of the Pixar viewing audience didn't see it either.
I think so. Yeah, Lightyear is. Well, actually, I haven't seen Cars 2 or 3, but Lightyear is the only other one Pixar film I haven't seen.
Well, I was interested, so I brought up the kind of Pixar slate, because I was just making sure there's not another one coming out this year. And I was checking, I was like, the last time we've had 2 films, like, come out, the busiest year Disney had, it's only been 2 films for Pixar a year, right? And the last time we had that, like I said, was probably 2017 with Cars 3 and Coco. That was the last time we had 2, and I'm like, I think that's when you show your weaknesses when you're making 2 films there, guys. Let's stick to one a year. But I'm really kind of interested because I've not been... The last kind of... I know Disney and Pixar are 2 separates, but... Their last few films I've not been entirely impressed with. I went to see Lightyear, and was honestly possibly just one of the dullest experiences I've ever had with Pixar.
Right.
Damn.
For a character that I absolutely adored as a child, but I realised I adored the toy version of him, not the actual real life version of him.
Yeah.
I still now stand by the fact that Andy has shit choice in films because it starts off with like Andy saw a film in 1999. This was that film. I'm like, no, you've got shit choice.
Well, he was like 7.
I don't care. He should have known better. But yeah, so Elemental is basically it follows. It's kind of almost like a Zootropia situation where we're going to this kind of city where the elements, fire, water, earth, and air live together.
Mm-hmm.
And all we know that
oh, someone hide this from James Cameron. He'll rip that off too.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's going to be a point in Pandora where all four
The way of
continents meet in the
Elemental.
middle. And there's going to be one avatar, and it's going to be the avatar. So yeah, basically, and it's basically the connection of a fire character and a water character. So a hot and fiery person and a cool flowing water character, and it's just about how they're going to have X amount of common. And I'm just like, cool. It seems to be Pixar's going back to their kind of what we're good with. What they like,
original properties, making stuff.
Original properties, which I do like.
Spin-offs,
even though I'm kind of excited for the Inside Out 2, even though that's a sequel. But no, this genuinely kind of just made me interested.
Is it from the guy? I think. Is it from the guy that directed Up? I can't remember.
Is it
I'm
from
pretty
the guy
sure.
that directed
Let me
Peter
check.
Son? Now that does seem... Yes, it is.
That's good. That's good.
Wait. Is it? No.
Who wrote it?
No, he was the...
No, it's Peter Son,
Right,
no.
he was the storyboard artist, and he was the model.
Doctor.
He was the physical model for the kid in the film.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
For Russell, he was like the physical model for
Oh, damn, he
Russell.
does look like grown-up Russell.
He made... Oh, no. He made his directorial debut with The Good Dinosaur.
I see.
Ooh.
I
I mean, it wasn't horribly
No,
directed.
I would watch it over Lightyear,
Yeah.
which is
I
saying
haven't
a
watched
lot.
Lightyear. But yeah.
That's the thing with Pixar though. They kind of like they always kind of bring stuff up. Like it's always inside talent they get to, make their films, isn't it? They always kinda, like,
it's not. They don't really. They're not like Marvel that's going to find somebody and bring it in.
yeah.
It's really like you have to be working with Disney for a long time,
Mhm.
and then you get like a.
Get to make a film, yeah.
then
It
you
is
get to
what
kind of go
contributes
over.
to those weird allegations that we start hearing and stuff. They are very much like you have to be in first before you get to do anything, which is a way of doing things, but also can lead to problematic stuff like we've seen in the past.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Well, anyway, okay, when's it meant to come out?
June
Right.
something 16th or
Okay.
something
What
like that, I think.
exactly are you excited about in this
A
movie? I'm
good
curious because
Pixar
I'm not
film.
excited about this one at all. Okay.
That's what.
Goodfellow's got cynical
What
edge.
makes you think?
Sorry,
No, I'm
just
genuinely
for
asking, what-
reference, Goodfellas. So Pixar's a studio that's been making animated films for close to kind of 30 years now. I know you.
Mhm.
I know you're not a huge fan of
No,
that.
but to be
I'm not
okay,
familiar,
Goodfellow,
no.
carry
Or
on.
film.
Carry on with your questioning, Goodfellow.
No, I wanted to ask you what exactly about this film makes you excited to think that it might be good.
I don't know. It's once again, it's Pixar just going back to an original idea, and that's where I think most of their films in the last, every film that I've seen except for sequels or weird spin-offs of shows I've quite enjoyed. One second, my cat wants at my room.
Oh god damn it!
I feel like this is the first
Sorry, yeah,
cat cameo we've had so far.
But yeah, so that's the kind of thing. Cause I really liked Turning Red.
Yes.
I loved Coco. Luca, Coco, Soul. I really enjoyed, which I remember sitting in. I watched that at Christmas, Boxing Day or something. I was bawling my eyes out. So I'm just like excited to see Pixar doing what they do best, which is make original content. And it's giving me slight Zootropia vibes, but I think it'll be slightly different
Pick one. It's
it's like,
Zootopia or Zootropolis. It's not
Oh,
Zootropia.
In Spanish, it's Zootropolis.
I'm just building. I'm just blinding them all in. Right?
Well,
but that's what
fine,
I'm kind
it's
of
fine.
excited about for this film.
well,
Okay.
Okay, so
I can understand that.
I guess my second pick. This is also one that I'm most scared about. I'm really looking forward to it, but simultaneously, I don't want to see it at the same time because I'm really nervous about it. And that is Indiana Jones 5 or Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Look,
yeah, I understand that.
Fucking hate that title. Sorry.
I mean, all the Indiana Jones titles are corny.
But it's a bad title.
Yeah.
It's subjectively a pretty shit title.
I
It's
don't
subjectively
know,
like
really? Temple of
it
Doom,
is a shit title.
Crystal Skull, is it really that bad?
Yes!
Crystal Skull was a better title. Like, I don't think it'll be a better movie,
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah.
But it was a better title. Just 2 words, man. 2 words.
Anyway, look.
No, it was the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Sorry, yes, Kingdom of
I
Crystal
know,
Skull,
but you
yes.
can...
No, I'm not yelling at
like,
you,
it's-
Lewis. I'm yelling at Fallow for just saying
Yeah.
it was 2 words.
No, but I'm saying, like, you can say, like, Dial of Destiny.
Look,
I don't-
okay.
I don't
Dame
know.
of Mystery.
Like I've always said, I've talked about Indiana Jones quite a lot on the show, how much I love those films. They're some of the best action adventure films I think ever just made. They're so exciting, they're so fun. Indiana Jones is such a just a great, charismatic person. I love Harrison Ford. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it more when we do our Spielberg episode soon. I just love those films. I love them so much. And then Disney, of course, acquired Lucasfilm, and then, okay, it's a matter of time. And look, this film's been stuck in development hell forever. There's been various incarnations of the script.
They have an IP, they're not milking it. There's executives that are very mad about that. So there has to be something done about it.
Spielberg was attached at one point. The script was written. I think there was a script made by... Who wrote Toy Story 3? I can't remember. The guy who wrote Toy Story 3 had a whole script at one point. I think that got scrapped. Spielberg, this version of this script, I think the latest incarnation, Spielberg was attached to. He read it, didn't want to do it. Okay. But then you get James Mangold in to, who obviously did Logan, Le Mans 66, Walk the Line, 310 to Yuma. Brilliant talent, you know, and also you get him to obviously work on the screenplay as well, and he's now taking the helm. The first Indiana Jones film that isn't actually done by Spielberg, so big shoes to fill. Although topping number 4, I'm sure won't be hard. But then that's where it gets interesting. So you have this guy who's obviously already made a story like Logan, who's like the aging hero or like the you know, mature guy, and so it becomes a much darker story and like moving on, reflecting on your younger self and all that sort of stuff. So you have that guy, great fit, doing that with an old, like 80-year-old Harrison Ford for an Indiana Jones 5. But like, I don't know. I mean, the first trailer came out, and I was like, yeah, it looks fun. Obviously, some of the green screen stuff looks a bit iffy, but look, that's like half a year out. They've got plenty of time to fix that. I'm not that concerned about that right now. The de-aging stuff looks good.
Yeah, I was about to say that does look good.
And I'm like, but I don't know. There's obviously been like rumors on Reddit that obviously Mangold has completely discredited about time travel and things like that. It's like, no, absolutely not. We're not doing that. However, calling it Dial of Destiny
that's
raises eyebrows
Time travel.
about that. Look, I'm going to take his word for it, though. I don't believe they're going to do time
But
travel.
you can do time travel well. You know, you can do time travel.
And look,
like, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
and look, you're going,
you know, like,
if you're like talking about Indiana Jones, it's like a thin line. It's like what is ridiculous and what is like
we have had
acceptable.
aliens.
You know, you've now had aliens in
Like,
this
if
universe.
you constrain time travel enough, you can get like nice things. Maybe like you can look back at your memories but not travel back. Like, you can
stuff like that.
you can really like rile it in and make it work for a story. You know.
And
So
of course,
wait,
like you've got. Sorry, on you go, Kyle.
So the kind of basic plot is it's something to do with the space launch in 1969.
Yes.
And the
Dealing with
Nazis.
Nazi scientists, Mads Mikkelsen,
So
of course.
And if we have time travel, we're going to have a film with time travel that's centered around the 1969 space launch.
Yes.
So we've got Men in Black 3 again. So I'm excited to see that comparison. But no.
No, I mean, look, from the video...
That was a fun movie.
From an action point of view, what I got from the trailer, I mean, I like that they're using like real cars and stuff like that and real stuntmen. That looked good. It's just because I'm also worried because I don't know how to describe this, but it's like Disney owning this property, and I don't want it to be like... I don't know, it's like too clean looking or like just too clean in itself. Like those old Indiana Jones films are kind of cheeky, you know what I mean? And kind of like, you know what I mean? They're cheeky and they're rugged and they look dirty and stuff like that and they look good. And I just don't want this to be like a really clean like Disney product. If you get what I mean, do you understand, Gonzalo?
Yeah, no, I know
Yeah,
exactly
and
what you
I'm
mean.
just
I'm also
concerned
kind
about
of
that.
scared because, like, okay, so Mangold, he's done a bunch of amazing movies,
Yes.
but let's not forget Wolverine Immortal was also his, which wasn't a
Wolverine,
horrible
the
movie.
Wolverine.
Wolverine Immortal.
What's that?
Yeah. Have you not watched this? This is the previous movie to Logan.
No, the
No,
Wolverine.
the Wolverine.
I don't know what Wolverine Immortal is.
Yeah, it's called Wolverine. Well, at least in Spain,
Oh,
it's called
Wolverine
Wolverine
Immortal.
Immortal.
Oh, well,
The
That's
bloody
what it's called in
Spanish.
Spain.
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
sorry,
look,
guys.
that is iffy.
Yeah.
And look, that was decent until about the last third, I'd say.
Yeah, so like I'm saying that like we've seen him fail under studio pressure.
Yes.
You know?
And it's Indiana
That's
Jones.
the thing I was focusing on. I'm not saying he's a bad
Mhm.
director, nowhere near that. I'm saying we've seen him under the stress of a
yeah.
studio telling him what
Yeah.
they want from him. And we've seen how that can lead to bad movies.
However,
Again,
one
not
last,
a hit
one last
him
thing
thing,
before.
but like, yeah.
Obviously, I want just look. Even if it just gives me some like really cool, real action with real stunts and like all that, and it's well done, I'm like, okay, great. But also, the one thing that gives me a lot of hope is actually when Harrison Ford came out at D23 when they unveiled the trailer to like a closed audience at that press conference.
Yes.
He came out and he was very, very emotional about the film. And he said what
Yes.
James Mangold done here is, like amazing. And he was getting a bit choked up actually. And look,
Yeah.
if
don't
anyone
see
knows
that.
Harrison Ford
No.
during
He's
presentations or
Yeah.
interviews, he
Rubbish.
doesn't give a shit about anything he makes. Even something
He
as
does
good
not care,
and
no.
amazing as Blade Runner 2049, he fucking just whatever,
didn't
man.
give a
I'll
shit.
show him my
No.
t-shirt. I don't care about interviews. It's whatever. The
Do you know
fact
why
that
he's tearing
uh-huh.
up?
Yeah.
Because the fucker's going, I thought I was out, and then Disney just pulled me in for the Marvel universe. That's why he's choking up. He was like, Indiana Jones is probably dying in this one. He's like, I'm finally out. I can
Yeah.
stop with these films. I hate the job I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then he just got a call from Kevin Feige saying, we extended your contract. You're back in. That's why the fucker's crying. He
God.
doesn't care about anything.
But that does give me hope that it's like he's actually getting emotional about this. It's like, oh, yeah, you could say this is like it's the final ride, and he's been attached to this franchise for like 40 years now. Like, of course he's gonna get emotional.
I also have isn't Phoebe Waller-Bridge
yeah, she's
in it as
in
well,
it,
like
yeah.
the lady
Playing his
from
goddaughter,
Fleabag.
playing his goddaughter, yes.
Yeah, so she's not just an actress;
Yeah.
she's like a screenwriter
Yes.
and stuff, which makes me think like she's got the integrity to say yes to a good one and not a bad script. You know?
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
she was
I
in
feel like-
Solo as well. I mean, I like Solo, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah,
really.
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Anyway,
okay,
that's
yeah, I forgot
my
about
second
that.
pick. Right, let's rattle through his third pick.
I was scared about
get
this
to
one,
yours.
man.
You got one last pick for us.
Oh, do I have one last pick? I think we've gone through my last
Okay,
picks,
gone
right?
through you.
Because like I had Dune 2 Part 2 and which other one did I have? Wait, I wrote this
We
down
talk about
for
Mission
a
Impossible
reason.
7 in a minute.
Okay, that's the other
And
one I
Kyle,
wanted
you
to
got
choose.
any
So,
last ones before we come back to that?
I'm quite excited for the Dungeons and Dragons film. To be perfectly honest,
yeah, no, that's that
I
one
saw
too,
the
forgot
I
about
saw
that
the
one.
trailer and I kind of went, if what they're doing is trying to like really adapt what a Dungeons and Dragons playthrough experience is,
Uh-huh.
where it's just a bunch of people starting off trying to be serious
Uh-huh.
and then just diverges into
Divulging.
comedy and just things
Yeah.
going wrong,
Mhm.
then
Look,
I
I-
think that it captured that idea. If you think it's going to be a serious fantasy thing, then you're
No, I don't think that at all.
completely-
I look at the trailer and
No,
look,
I think it's
I'm
comedy.
not particularly excited about it. I think it just looks like a very, very generic fantasy blockbuster with like little quips and things and starring Chris Pine. And I like Chris Pine, and like I said, I wish he was playing villains more than heroes. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really get much from the trailer. I really don't.
I hope it's almost not a full Jumanji experience. I hope it literally
Yeah.
starts with 5 friends sitting down, and then it kind of
Yeah.
like
Goes into the
travels
game.
into it,
Mhm.
because then you
Yeah.
can have like funny. The best way I could describe it, what I want to see is, do you remember the Borderlands DLC?
Right?
Yes.
The tiny
yes,
demon,
yes.
like when they're
Yes.
starting it and it's got this thing and it's like, shouldn't it be
Yeah.
like cloudy, and then so
Mhm.
like the the atmosphere changes to dark, and then
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
what,
like,
what what if they don't do any of that and it's just a
oh,
fantasy film?
then I'll be disappointed.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
then
Well,
I'll be-
that's
then I'll be
I'm
See,
thinking more it's going to be like
that's-
that. Uh-huh.
Like I think Lewis is right here, but I'm also hoping for like a like one that I wasn't expecting to enjoy, but I did, because it does remind me of Jumanji as well. I was not expecting to enjoy the Jumanji movies at all, and I can't say that they're brilliant or anything. They're
because
vaguely entertaining, but they're like fun. If it reaches that level of like it's entertaining and fun, and it doesn't hinder my enjoyment of like, then I'll be okay.
I've had
I
hope
guess.
with like their marketing so far has been funny in the sense that they had to change the release date, and they've been doing it as like, oh, nobody can find a night to play together, which everybody like is like,
fun,
it makes me laugh because it's like, oh, that's just kind of like how D&D would work. I mean, I know it's the sense of how our bloody show recordings work. Like it's like that. So they're mild things giving me hope. Is it more of a chance it'll be a disappointment? Yes, but I'm just clinging on to that hope.
What it was that made me go, oh no, is at the end of how they always have post, like they do the title and then they got like an end of trailer stinger just to sort of like, and it's this thing that's become like a cliche in like blockbuster films the past 10 years. It's like they talk about having a plan. And it's this joke about, oh, you got no plan, and my plan is that I got whatever. They're just chatting shit. I'm like, oh, fuck. Why did Hollywood need to go? What's your plan? I don't have a plan. And it's like plan. That's the fucking joke. Guardians of the Galaxy fucking ripped the piss out of it, and that was in 2014. Yeah. So I just did not like that. They're going like, what's your plan? All your plans fail. Plan. Funny. No.
I think that's a Dungeons and Dragons thing where players will plan something, and then the DM fucks with them. So they have to change.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think that's why Kyle thinks it might go in that direction.
See, that's what I'm thinking. It's giving me these little like hints that it might be doing it.
I'm also hoping the trailer is just bad, because that happens sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes trailers are freaking awful because they just use the blockbuster template on them, and they definitely do not reflect what the actual final movie is. So I don't know. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. Yes. I'm not. Like, it's, for me, I'm as excited for this one as I am for Elemental. Right. Like, I don't really know if it's going to be good. I don't think it's going to be good. But I'm like, maybe it is.
Maybe. Well,
you've not seen any films, right?
I don't watch films. I don't watch any films. It's part of my character development. Right,
so, Gilthal, let's get to our joint final pick. And that's, of course, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Yes. They're not lying. They're not hiding the fact this is part 1.
They're not lying. Yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing. I'm like, yes, I appreciate this. Thank you. Thank you for being upfront.
Your thoughts on the Mission Impossible franchise as a whole?
I fucking love the Mission Impossible franchise. Even Mission Impossible 2, which is objectively a terrible movie. I still enjoy that.
Watch. Yeah. That's a really boring
film.
I
know. That is a really bad film. But I have really good nostalgia about it, because it's surprisingly my sister's favorite Mission Impossible movie. Just because of how overly corny it is. When we were kids, maybe her opinion has changed now. But like, I mean, it is a blatant example of how John Woo's kind of like coming to the West was pretty badly treated, and they didn't give him like the chance to do whatever the heck he wanted to. But
class. Face Off is class, and I'll just
but it's also not great.
No, it's fantastic. It's the most bonkers, brilliant, hilarious. Yes. John Travolta and Nicolas Cage. I mean, it can't get any better than that. Can't get any better than that. But look, Mission Impossible franchise as a whole kind of went on this mad glow up, right? Because you have the first film, which is this great thriller espionage, really, really leaning into the sort of like thriller aspect. Not a lot of crazy stunts or anything like that.
That's the thing. Like, it started, like, the craziest stunt was him hanging from a wire.
Yeah.
Like, that was the great, because, like, the whole,
scene,
I mean, there's the train explosion thing and blah, 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 but, like, the main, the main thing was that. And, like, that was a brilliant scene, but it wasn't an action scene. It was a tension scene.
And that's where that first
I feel like
in the tension.
Exactly, and then it kind of lost its way, and it focused too much on big action set pieces rather than big tense action set pieces.
Which that's the thing,
the second one, it's just full on action.
Yeah, the first one, it's still one of my favorites of the franchise. Absolutely, I love that first film.
Love it.
Then the second one, obviously, and then 2 and 3 are just these. Like, I'm not a fan of 2 and 3 really. I mean, like, I rewatched 3.
They're very actiony. It took me so long to watch 3, by the way. Like, it was one of those where I was at like number 7, and I was like, oh shit, let's.
But then Brad Bird comes in and really reinvigorates the franchise with Gross Protocol.
Yes,
and of course you talked about tension. Because we get that incredible
Yes.
Was it Burj Khalifa
The
scene?
Burj Khalifa scene. Yes.
Unbelievable.
Okay, so the Burj Khalifa scene. Yes, it's a gigantic set piece. It's over the top.
Yes.
They're hanging from the tallest building in the world. Yes, but that's not the point of the scene. The point of the scene is the tension in it.
His
And I
gloves
feel like
not
that's
working,
where
and he's got a hold on one hand. Unbelievable.
exactly,
So good.
exactly. And I think like taking that is what's made the franchise as incredible
Yeah.
as it is now. It's not just an outrageously like unrealistic set piece that they actually do practically.
Yes.
It's just the added tension to it. That is what like it's not just let's blow up a submarine or something. You know, like they're generally trying to make those scenes a scene of you don't know if they're gonna survive.
And look,
you know?
then you
that's what
you
makes
follow
it
up with
good.
something like Rogue Nation, which is another great solid follow, which has some other the underwater sequence is very tense, the opera scene's fantastic,
Oh
the
my
warbike
God,
chase is
so
fantastic.
good.
But then
Love the opera scene.
then we get
Yes,
to Mission
yes.
Impossible 6
Fallout.
/ Fallout, which
Yes.
there's something about that film when I saw it for the first time, right? It felt so prestigious. Like, it felt like so like sophisticated, and there was something about it that just made it for me like head and shoulders above already fantastic thrillers and action films already in this franchise. And to me, Mission Impossible 6 was some of the chase through Paris. I have no idea how they coordinated that. That is unbelievable. That's a logistical nightmare.
That's a
How the
work of
fuck you
art.
filmed that? Unbelievable. You have, of course, the Halo jump scene. The bathroom fight scene, the end chase with the helicopter, the run through London.
I'm just
they just managed
the cocking of the fists. It's like one of those things that's gonna go down in history as like one of the best fight scenes. Like that bathroom fight scene, and like that's the thing. You are in a movie where you have a helicopter chase at the end. You have the Paris scene. You have the
any one
Halo
of them
jump.
would
Like
have been
you have
like the lead set piece in any other action film, but they're all in one film.
But that's the thing, like, they're not like, oh, this just defines the film. It's not like we've seen in recent ones, like with the, I don't know, with the freaking, like the, oh my God, what's it called? The Tom Holland one that you guys hated so much. Uncharted. You know how like that one was like, oh, we have the thing with the plane, and that's the main thing.
Bullshit,
that's like the main thing, and it's like CG and stuff. And but then like it's just actually even the Halo scene gets slightly ruined by the CG that they added. You know, but like
I was saying, to me,
so
the
brilliant.
Mission Impossible 6 is one of the best action films of the 21st century. It's just unbelievable. And of course, you get the team back together, Christopher McQuarrie, Tom Cruise, and they of course want to top it. They want to top it. We've seen the stuff that in the trailer and like the whole behind the scenes stuff, this huge motorbike jump off a cliff in Norway. You see from the trailer, God was on the train. They literally built a railway track and threw a train off a cliff. Like it's just
of course they did.
all this stuff they're going to do, and apparently they're going to top that even more in Mission Impossible 8. I just like,
and
him hanging on the side of a plane.
This film combination, it's like it's the dream team.
Yeah.
Like the story of Mission Impossible is the story of like a crazy psychopathic actor meeting the director that would allow him to do whatever the fuck he wanted to. You know, like it's the story of that, because like I believe he was like a script revisionist on the Ghost Protocol one.
What, Tom Cruise?
And then
Christopher McQuarrie?
No, the Christopher Quarry. I think he was there. I might be wrong here. Like, do not quote me on this. But I think like he started as like a revisionist on the script and just like, you know, jamming in things and stuff. And like after they worked on that second one together, where he directed, like it was just magic. Like that was just magic. And then we got Fallout after that. And honestly, like it just feels like they're just indulging themselves with the thing that they're both excited about, which is that idea of like practical effects and that idea of like stunts and that idea of like telling a story that feels grounded, even though it's completely outrageous. The tension, the thing, like even the little detail of like adding that little thing to Ethan when he has the accident in the chase scene in the last one.
Yeah.
You know, like he had an accident.
Yeah, because he falls off the bike and stuff like that,
Yeah, like he had a genuine accident in real life, jumping from one of the two rooftops or whatever, and like they incorporate that into the script. Like just the very idea of like you see how like it's a very malleable work environment where they all riff off of each other, you know, and they create this amazing stuff. I'm super excited.
I mean,
it's
look,
going to be another work
we've had
of
a
art.
whole just a love praise of this franchise for the last like 10 minutes. Kyle's absolutely checked out. He does not care.
I mean,
Yes.
I am going to watch
Cal-
them all. Don't worry, I have.
Yes.
That's in my
Cal's
plan.
just
And we'll
jealous.
definitely return to this when we talk about Mission Impossible 7 and Tom Cruise
hell
films later in the year. But yes, look, that was our most anticipated film selection, and of course, I mean, I can't wait for Mission Impossible 7. I mean, I can't believe they delayed. It was meant to come out in September last year, and Kyle remember the day when that Twitter notification came up for me, and they
He
delayed it an
wasn't too
entire
happy.
like 10 months. I was so sad. I was so sad. I was like, I can't believe they've done this because of that. But we got Top Gun last year, so we got another crazy Tom Cruise film anyway.
Just hold on to the hope that it means it's going to be better
Yes.
than before. You know, that's it. Like
Absolutely.
if they're delaying it, it's because they're making it even better. You know, that's it.
Yes.
Let's. That's what I keep telling myself about the next Hollow Knight, which is meant to come out this year.
Who knows?
Fingers crossed.
But yes, I'll wrap up this part of the show, and now it's time for reviews.
And now, reviews.
Okay, so Enys Men, which is the new film by Mark Jenkins, who did Bait in 2019. I don't know if either of you have seen Bait. It's a very indie British film. Brilliant.
Is it about fishing?
No, it's actually sort of about little towns and sort of like the gentrification and sort of tourists taking over towns and like
that's a good topic, actually.
yeah,
So
it's
not about fishing.
no,
So
and
not
it's,
about fishing.
so it's about like tourists coming in and sort of like taking over towns from like the people who've lived there and sort of like gentrifying it and making it like almost impossible and like suffocating the people who've had like small businesses there. Like eventually they're sort of getting pushed out their own homes because of like rising inflations and things like that. And it's like because
That's a good
That's
topic to
very-
make a film out.
it's also
Yeah,
a very
yeah.
very scathing indictment on Brexit. It's a really brilliant film. It's also kind of about anger and like just, great tensions. It's fantastic. I love Bait.
I might watch this then.
And this film also takes a page out of the way Bait was made, because Bait's like, see, when you look at the film, you're like, oh, you originally think, oh, this film must have been made in the 60s or 70s because it's like filmed. I can't remember the type of camera he used for it, but it's like really grainy, rough film that looks like an old videotape from the 70s. All the dialogue is like post dubbed so that it, like those old films where it's like the dubbing isn't quite
so it
right.
feels
Very authentic, even though it's set in like the modern day. But he does that again
pretty
here in Enys Men, which actually roughly translates to like Island of Stone or Stone Island. And it's this island off the coast of Cornwall, and it stars Mary Woodvine as she's not even credited as anyone. It's just sort of like the woman or just the volunteer. I think she's credited as. So it's set in 1973, where a woman who's alone on this island goes about her daily routine. So like she goes on a walk around the island. She checks these little flowers. She checks the temperature of the soil to see that they're okay. She goes home, she drops a rock in a well as like a little wish. She goes home, records her findings in a little jar, has some tea, reads a little book, which is like the blueprint of survival or something, and she repeats this. This is all she does every day. It's the same thing every single day, right? That's all it is. And then, like, her house is situated below this hill where this big stone monument sort of lies, and it's what the stone is like. It's a memoriam for these people lost at sea, and there was a certain tragedy that happened where all these crew members drowned. Where like it says all hands on deck went with the ship, and it's like a tribute to them and their families. And so we kind of go through this the routine every day, and we're like, wait, what's going on here? There's like no dialogue or anything like that. And it's sort of like we're just going through this routine, but then these figures start to show up, and then slowly like the past and the present start to intertwine, and there's sort of ghosts and sort of things, and like she's sort of kind of being haunted, and thus the island itself is being haunted because she's like the only person there. And yeah, Enys Men, like, Gothal, you mentioned how you liked Don't Worry Darling because of like the psychological aspect of it, and me and Kyle critiqued that and saying that I don't think it was very mind warpy or intense or scary at all. This really is a psychological mind warp like no other. It's this whole film that's sort of kind of about memory and trauma and loss, and time doesn't make any sense. You have characters somehow appearing who shouldn't exist in this time. Like, you see her put the date down of this is present day, and she turns and has a talks to someone who couldn't possibly exist in that time. She finds relics or like wreckages of a ship, puts on her mantelpiece, and then someone who was from that wreckage somehow sits in our living room and has a cup of tea while the monument of the wreckage is there. There's no sense of time here that makes any sense. And what you get is this film that's like this experiential, bizarre, uncanny film that's like really like if you ever get the chance to watch it in cinema, if you can watch it in a cinema, is you're just absorbed and enamored
I'll be able to, sadly.
in this bizarre, like cerebral experience where it's just like, what is this about? What is this island about? Why are we getting these flashes of these people and these ghosts, or like, and like what is actually going on here? You know, the plot is it's very loose, and we don't ever really get a clear idea of, you know, what's a flashback, what's actually happening. Is she imagining this? And we get this whole thing about trauma because we see like the wounds appear like on her skin, and like this whole thing with like lichens on the flowers, and then it's like, how is this affecting her mentally? And like we're sort of seeing these mental scars appear on her physically. It's
physically, yeah.
And look, it's a whole ode to like old 1970s films, like with all, like I said, the super grainy post-dubbed stuff. Like it reminded me of like the old the sailor who fell from grace by the sea, which is a Chris Christopherson film in the 1970s. If you ever get, that's a really, really strange film. If you ever get a chance to watch it, it's on BFI Player. It's a fantastic film. It really reminded me of that, where it's like you get this someone living on the coast, old-fashioned, it's very 70s post-dub dialogue where the sound is not quite right, but yeah, it's just really engrossing, and it's very short. It's only about 85 minutes or so, and it's just coming out of it, you're like, what actually happened? Like, what is actually going on? And all you, like I said, you get this experiential film that makes you feel like you're sort of going mad with her. I mean, look, I mean, the best sort of comparison as well to not just Bay or the old the sailor fell from grace by the sea, but also the Lighthouse. It's not as fantastical as the Lighthouse. It doesn't go as, you know, like more like, you know, with like big octopuses and stuff like that, or anything like sort of mythology. What am I trying to say? Mythology.
It doesn't get mythological.
Mythological. Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah. But it's still really, really tense and quite eerie and really uncomfortable, because I think you're sort of getting this sort of someone who's losing their mind and sort of losing their sense of time and place and their sort of state of mind and memory is all sort of. It's all sort of becoming jumbled, and it's just a really experiential film. Look, it's absolutely not for everyone. I think 3 people walked out of the screening I was at because it's just like, what is going on? Yeah. Like, you do not get it's nothing's cut and dry. It's a very, very strange film, but it's definitely, look, if you ever get the chance to watch it at home, get close to that TV, turn the lights off, get absorbed, because it's just this mind warping, like, it really made me really uncomfortable at points. But I thought it was a great experience. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. I love what Martin Jenkins is doing. I love what he's doing so far.
I'm definitely gonna give it a watch, because like I had a similar experience with like The Green Knight, and I really enjoyed watching that.
Green
kind
Knight's
of like
a great
very
film.
Yeah. So no, 100%, and it really does like stand out to me that you say, because like obviously they're really replicating this like 70s like B movie kind of feel, where you have like all the dubs being, and like the images that while I search it, like very much look like a 70s film, but it's not just like a superficial thing. Clearly it's not just like, I just like this style, so I'm just gonna keep it. Like, it's trying to be part of what the story's telling. Like, it's not just it's this style because so like it looks very interesting. Like, definitely gonna give it a watch.
Look, I would actually say like it would be a great double feature, sort of having Enys Men and the Lighthouse together. Sort of Enys Men is like sort of, I guess, kind of more realistic than the Lighthouse, even though it's pretty weird. Like that sort of 2 sort of great depictions of sort of like, you know, you're losing your mind and isolation, like insanity. I think it's a great pairing. I think those would be 2 good films. But
100%.
Yes, like I said, my next film, of course, is Tar, directed by Todd Field, and who also wrote the film too, and stars Cate Blanchett. This is obviously, I think we literally just saw there, it got a BAFTA nomination for Best Picture. It's, you know, got a Golden Globe nomination for Best Picture. It's going to probably it's a big awards film, like I said at the start.
Not about dinosaurs, though.
No, not about dinosaurs, no.
That's sad.
The plot itself, so it follows Lydia Tarr, who's sort of widely considered one of the greatest living composers of our time, and the first female director of a major German orchestra. She's also EGOTed, everyone knows what EGOT is, and it's sort of like, oh, she's a handful of select geniuses on the planet. Like she's, at the beginning, the film kind of opens with this lengthy, big public interview with her and someone like in New York, and it goes over her sort of history and how she conducts and things like that, and that's how we get a sense of like her professionalism,
who she
and
is
how
as like
serious,
a professional,
and what she's like as a conductor. And so her life is constantly busy. She teaches at university. She's actually writing a memoir, and she's actually what she's doing. She's conducting Bach's Fifth Symphony in Germany. So she's got a lot on her plate, right? But then sort of things start to unravel once rumours and reports come out that, she's been part of some really unsavoury things and unsavoury behaviour and sort of abusing her status over the years, and solely her personal and professional life are slowly starting to, become shaky and sort of crumble.
Of
Look, obviously, let's start off with the very, very obvious thing. Cate Blanchett is phenomenal. Her performance is naturalistic. It's so... I was just so enamored of her throughout the whole thing. Like, I just believed Lydia Tarr was this real person. Like, every mannerism, every just the way she talks, and just like every sort of encounter she has, it's just so... And look, I've said for the longest time, Michelle Yeoh will win Best Actress at the Oscar nominations, but I really don't know anymore. I think her and Cate Blanchett, very different performances, fair.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very different performances, but I don't know, man. It really is a two-horse race, because Cate Blanchett really is like, even just the way she's also jumping different. Well, I suppose Michelle Yeoh did this as well, but she's jumping between like German and French and English, all the time. She's, the way she just moves and the way she really feels the music when she's conducting.
It's interesting to see, because even from just like the images, it doesn't look like her.
Yes, it's strange, isn't it? It's very strange.
Like, I don't know if they did anything, like, makeup-wise or anything, but, like, it generally does not look like her.
Yeah.
You know?
The film comes in about 2.5 hours long, right? But honestly, I kind of didn't really want it to end in a weird way. I was so... There's something really odd about it. Like, it's a very, like, bleak-looking film. Like, most of the film's set in, like, in Germany. And in Berlin, and it's all like grey skies and very muted and very bleak. But there's something about the film, I don't know how, and it's very wordy, it's very dialogue heavy. But there's something about it, the way Todd Field just like, the way it looks is just so like still, and just like every shot is just so well done, and just like it has this sort of stillness to it, but it's just so engrossing to have these people wandering these sort of very, very classy sets and orchestras and like big grandiose homes. And just getting, I think it's the way the film's paced and the way the plot unravels, because we start off in this position where she's clearly like quite like, a very demanding figure, and like sort of not a diva in any sense, but like she gets what she wants, and she's a very powerful presence. And you get this whole scene where she's teaching a class, and like the whole film has this whole idea about how much should the personal and infringe on professionalism, and by that I mean how much should the artist affect the art. And they have this whole 10-minute conversation like in this whole scene where like the camera follows about the room, and there's like not even a cut, it's just so well done, and this whole like lecture hall, and she's having a debate with a student, because the student's like, I don't really like Bach because I know about all his like his personal life and sort of the controversies in his life. And she gets visibly angry about this, because it's like, how can you just discount his incredible body of work because of that? It's like it's about, if you remove it, sorry, it goes to solid, but if you remove,
it's like the whole death of the author
thing, exactly,
kind of conversation,
exactly. And it's like, if you remove, if you just discount this person, if you discount their work because of like what they've done, well, it's like, well, all these white, cis white men throughout the history of the world who've created such, great works, well, let's just throw it all away. What are we left with, sort of thing.
Yeah,
And it's this great
but you also
sort of
have the
debate.
opposite thing where it's like, if you take the person and
Yes.
the artist and the creator away from the art,
Yes.
then are you really able to fully understand it
Mm-hmm.
without the context of its
Yes.
creation?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like
Where she-
without like the
Uh-huh.
intent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she like audibly's like, yeah, he's done this, but she just like shrugs it off. And it's obviously it's meant to be a very, you know, like a parallel between what
Oh, yeah,
she's doing
obviously, yeah.
and what he did. And it's just like, yeah, she shrugs it off, and it's like, yeah, but really listen to the music. And she actually I love the scene where she just gets him. She's like plays him some music, and then he's like, oh, it is really good. But then he obviously comes in with the but I can, and then that's when she sort of kind of loses it, and just like it's a really great scene. And I think there's also a problem with the film. There's kind of, oddly enough, there's become a lot of misinterpretation of it because the right wing media believe it's this whole film that's sort of against cancel culture.
Yeah.
The film discusses
Yeah.
cancel culture, and its leading character is like a
Yeah,
terrible
yeah,
person, and it's like
Yeah,
how is this what you're taking from one scene? It's a 2.5 hour film. You're taking this one scene as like gospel of the whole
It's
film,
like-
and it's
it's
meant to
like
be a
the whole
parallel between
fucking-
her, and it's very very funny. That's sort of like they're championing.
It's at that
it as
point where
their
like
sort
the
of film.
people who are being like critiqued in a film feel like identify with the target that's being critiqued, so think that the media is for them. Like you see that whole thing with like the Rick and Morty people being like, oh, Rick is the shit, and it's like, dude, this is whole show condemning his behavior. You're just not getting it. Like it's that whole idea of like, oh, I identify with the main character, therefore this whole media is supporting my ideas and beliefs.
The way the plot unravels and the way it's paced is so well done because you're sort of just slowly chipping away at her life. And she also, in a way, is sort of addicted to this behavior that's become so, you know, ingrained in her, and like she becomes like infatuated with the new beautiful young woman like celloist who's joined the orchestra. And also, I will say this: look, if you're going to talk about a film that's about someone in a position of power and manipulating that power to get what they want and, you know, commit illegal acts, it's really interesting that they chose a woman, actually. And I think that's what makes this film stand out more so if they had just a man. And I'm not saying like, oh, look, people. That's where another that's been more controversial over the film is sort of like, well, why didn't you make it a man if it's sort of like it's 99% men who are abusing their power to, like, you know, sexually assault women and harass women? Why are you doing it from a woman point of view? But the woman point of view is what makes the film really interesting. It's like, wow, okay, we're doing it from this perspective. I've not seen this before, and that's another aspect of what's
So-
really praiseworthy of it, I think.
Do you think it's like trying to say that, you know, like it's not like abuse of power doesn't really have like a gender
And
or sexuality? It's
film
just like
sort of
bad in and
opens
of
with that
itself
when-
kind of thing?
Yeah, the film opens out when the interviewer asks a question about sex, and it's like, well, you're the first female director of this journey. Like, what does that mean to you? And she's like, it doesn't really mean anything to me. I don't really care if you're a man or a woman. And it's sort of that's sort of just like, yeah, this is kind of like, it doesn't really matter if you're a man or a woman. Like, you can still,
It's
about
like abuse of power is abuse of power. Yeah.
Exactly. Power corrupts, absolutely, sort of thing. But yeah, there's also this really great sort of like cerebral aspect to it. Sort of a little bit like Enys Men, like I mentioned earlier, where like there's like a scene where it kind of becomes a really like tense kind of horror film where it's like she's sort of being stalked in these dark tunnels, and then she's having these really bizarre dream sequences, and then there's this whole scene where she has to go into this house where this woman is like dying. It's all very, very strange and makes you unsettled, and it's just like, I think that's obviously the whole purpose of it. You're meant to feel very uncomfortable. You're meant to feel almost as if like the predator is sort of becoming the prey now, with Tar. And the way the film ends is it's very, very satisfying. I'll give it that. It ends in a very, very interesting note. But yeah, I really liked her, and no wonder it's getting Best Picture nods and stuff like that.
I'm wondering,
it's a very
is the
engrossing
story
film.
based on? Is it like based on a true story?
I think I read somewhere it's loosely based on a real person. Yes.
Okay.
And I think there's more controversy about that, I guess.
Always is, yeah.
But yeah, I really liked it. I'm giving it a solid 8 out of 10. I mean, I think it's definitely one where I kind of actually want to see it again, and because there's actually a lot to unravel. Like, it's a very big film, very big, and a lot to sort of unpack. But look, I'm very happy it's getting Best Picture nominations, actually, because I really liked it. So yeah, those are my reviews today. So that's Tar 8 out of 10, and Enys Men a 9 out of 10, and that will wrap up today's show as a whole. Look, we just talked about our most anticipated films of 2023. Sorry, I meant to thank you guys first. I'm on a whole... Yeah, my mind's gone crazy. Anyway, thank you, Gonzalo, for joining me.
It's been a pleasure.
And thank you, Kyle.
Pleasure as always.
And like we're mentioning about award stuff on next week's show, we will be talking about the Oscar nominations because they, I think it's next Tuesday or Wednesday they are unveiled. So it'll be very interesting to see what angers us and what will surprise us actually and gets those nominations. But yes, we just give our opinions on Tar, Enys Men, and our most anticipated films of 2023. But at the end of the day, those were our unwanted opinions. Thank you very much.